Patrick Mahomes has a TV at training camp, and I want to know, is this a big deal, no deal, or do haters like myself and Mike and Joe, who just want the Chiefs to lose, do we just get to hang on to this one little thing, hoping that this is going to distract the Chiefs just enough? Joe, let's start with you.
What do you mean? He brought a TV with him to training camp, like in his room?
Yeah, because he wants to be able to play college football and he wants to be able to watch the Olympics while he's at training camp. And he's never had that personal TV that he brought to training. Like some of these guys
never, because players do it all the time, right? You see it all the time where they're in their room and then they have their little break. They're playing video games. They're doing whatever they need to do. But you're saying like a superstar like Patrick Mahomes, who's never done it, is actually going to do it. But okay, so here's a good conversation, because I was talking about Patrick Mahomes the other day with one of my friends, and Patrick Mahomes has done a lot this offseason. He's the executive producer of, I don't know if you guys saw that on Receivers, on that show Receivers. Like he owns part of the Kansas City Royals. There's a lot of other things that he's doing outside of it. So do I think he's a little distracted? Yes, but I saw the same thing. I'm seeing the same thing with Travis Kelce, where he's like going on tour with Taylor Swift. I think these guys are so much professionals that they need something to do in their off season, that they're getting their head away from football. But once they get into there and into their rhythm, I don't think there's any stopping Patrick Mahomes. Now, I do think the only way that this stops Patrick Mahomes is not his play now, but this will stop him from playing like a career like Tom Brady, a 20-year career, where Patrick Mahomes in a couple of years will be like, look, I've done everything I need to do. Now I have all these other aspects that I want to do. That's where I see it stopping him. But like, actually, look at Patrick Mahomes compared to everybody else. His body is not like yoked out. He's not a yoked guy. He looks like he has the dad bod and he goes out there and he's the number one quarterback. If you looked at Patrick Mahomes without a shirt on, you're not going to be like, that's our top guy. That's our top athlete. No, you look at a guy like DK Metcalf and you're like, oh shit, that's our guy. Patrick Mahomes has always been that. He's never been. I hope every day that I turn on and I read something in the news that I hope for the downfall of the Chiefs. But come on, like for us to put doubt in Patrick Mahomes for a TV, it ain't happening.
Mike, speak to the people. Let everybody know what the truth is about the TV.
Well, unfortunately, Tony, I don't know the truth, but I could tell you what I hope. I hope that Joe's completely wrong or right. Either he's completely wrong and this video game playing leads to a first-round exit at the end of this year because they were distracted, in freaking July for some reason, playing college football when the game had just released. Somehow it affects their play in January. But maybe I should just stop rooting against Mahomes, and I should stop being such a Mahomes hater. I should go down the road that Joe's going here. Joe's basically saying, like, let's just let him win as much as he possibly can. Let's just let him win for the next 3 straight years. At a certain point, he's just going to get so tired of winning that he'll just quit and go and win at something else. And he'll just go do something else. So that way we all can have a break from this motherfucker. And we don't have to worry about stories like this anymore. We can just go back to our usual programming of wondering whether Joe Burrow's ankle's fine or Dak Prescott's getting paid or all the other stuff instead of Patrick Mahomes bringing TVs into the office. Me personally, though, I will say with my buddies, and this is no shot to my buddies, I don't play video games. I don't do anything, to be honest, but I don't play video games. I don't understand the appeal of video games to a point that you need to bring it to work with you, even though, we all kind of do it with technology and phones and stuff nowadays. So I just don't see the appeal in wanting to have video games in there. Like, you taking a break from football to go play a football video game? Like, why don't you go to dinner or go to a movie or do something relaxing that has nothing to do with football?
He has to recruit, Mike. NCAA football, he's out there recruiting all these high school players to come to his little college and play so he can win a national championship. He has to get these 5-star recruits.
Yeah. He couldn't win the national title when he actually was in college. His team wasn't even good. So he's like, oh, I need to rerun this back, Cliff kind of ruined my entire college career, and I want it to be like my NFL career.
Oh, man. I was really hoping you guys would rail against this because there's a little part of me that says, like, if you really look at like the greatest of the greats, it almost doesn't really matter. You know, like you ever see the stories of like what Michael Jordan used to do was like he'd have an off day in a playoff game and he'd fly somewhere to go play golf. He'd play 36 holes of golf. He'd drink, he'd smoke cigars, and then he'd come back the next day and put 45 on him. And they're like, wait, why wouldn't you rest and recuperate? That was his way of resting and recuperating, was getting out and just playing golf and smoking cigars and gambling, which is fine. Maybe could have potentially been even better had he been locked in the way some of these other guys are. My whole thing is like, you're such a creature of habit when you're that great. When you're Mahomes level, when you're Brady level, you are on a different wavelength that everybody else is on. So if there's little tiny differences, which could be as much as maybe he spends a little less time talking to Andy Reid about plays, maybe there's, like a little less bonding with all of your teammates, stuff like that, because he's locked in on really building up the Texas Tech franchise. And maybe that's the little itty bitty ounce, the little edge that we need for him to be off a couple of games at the beginning of the season. And maybe that means that they don't get home playoff games. Like it's the margins are so slim. All we need is a tiny little bit of hope.
True.
That it'll throw him off. Because this idea that you two are like, whoa, we just hope he wins a bunch and then retires. Fuck that noise. I do not want to watch the Chiefs win 3 in a row. I do not want to watch the internet tell me that he's the greatest quarterback of all time. Because you guys know I have a huge issue with this. I don't like how we just bury the greats as soon as they retire. Tom Brady, the body's not even cold yet. And it's already like, well, Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback we've ever seen. It's like, what happened?
First of all, I put it on record that I did not say that I wanted to see Patrick Mahomes win another one. I did not say that. Mike said that.
No. I didn't say that either at all. I was saying that I was agreeing with Joe that maybe we can look at
Mike,
this.
You said it. I did not say it. You were like,
you
let Patrick win the next
came up
3 years
with
and get out of
the
it.
idea. It was all you. I don't want to get looped in on any kind of Patrick Mahomes support here. You said that maybe he just wins a few more years or wins for the next 5 years and then walks away because he's won so much. He could go do Kansas City Royals ownership shit, whatever the fuck that means, and go and do that. Right. And then I second that and said, yeah, maybe Joe's right. Maybe we could look at this as a win-win, even if he doesn't get distracted by this. That's exactly the take. But going back to it, you are right, Tony. It does come down to like just a minute few plays, even in the Super Bowls that he's won so far. So hopefully this is that one play, that one break, because I'll tell you, Jim Harbaugh, he has only been football. There has been zero distractions. Like when me and Joe went to Vegas for, I think it was for the Super Bowl, maybe. Antonio Pierce was out there doing like fan appearances and doing all this stuff, probably, raising funds so he could pay for his $30 million in debt that he's in right now, doing all that kind of stuff while news was breaking that Jim Harbaugh was moving into an RV at the facility in LA. So there's different breeds here. There's different levels of dedication, and Mahomes just isn't quite on that level.
Well, Jim Harbaugh wears diapers and Antonio Pierce doesn't. So there's a big difference too. So I don't know what.
You know why he wears diapers, Joe? Because he needs to stay focused. He needs to stay locked in. If he's in the middle of a film study and he needs to go number 2, you can't just get up and leave the computer. You can't take the computer with you.
Let me tell you this about that TV. I play video games. I sit there and do nothing else. Like, it's going to work out perfect for Patrick Mahomes. Like,
you're an elite athlete.
Patrick Mahomes, just go, relax. Don't worry about the kids. Play your video games, eat your potato chips, and win your championships and get those 5-star recruits, because that's going to work out great. I mean,
exactly. I think this is going to work out too. And I think his wife is expecting another.
Yeah.
Oh man,
well,
it's been working. I've been like doing like a little like ritual, or I spin around 3 times, do a handstand every time Mahomes gets pregnant to make sure that it's not a son. Like, just don't birth a man, don't birth a boy, don't birth an heir to this.
Yeah, because that's when I know I'm really old, when they're Patrick Mahomes Jr.
Well, he's already the 3rd, so we're dealing with Patrick Mahomes the fucking 4th in the NFL. No. Let's have all girls, girl dad. That's the way to go.
Well, it would be so hard to replicate what his dad's done. Like all of these guys that are like super great, I don't necessarily think that the next generation gets locked in at the same position. Quarterback too, like the amount of time and effort and work and everything. And also like there's some good fortune in it, like I think that we talked about it a lot when I was younger, where it was like, oh, look, Tom Brady landed with Bill Belichick. And then all of a sudden the narrative flipped at some point and was like, Bill Belichick could never win without Tom Brady. I think that landing up in a marriage of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes that's what it is. Like when you get two people who are really great at what they do, that's the combination that every fan hopes for their franchise. You want elite this and elite that, and now the rest of the team just raises up with everybody else.
So the Saints are the ones that always get talked about. Like they were the next one on the clock, and Sean Payton swears that he was going to take Patrick Mahomes. Do you think they would have had the same success, Sean Payton and Patrick Mahomes?
I don't know that, but I think it would have been similar. Like I think if you would have given a player of that caliber, my thing is this. These guys don't waste any time. If they identify a guy as a guy, like you're moving up to go get him. So this idea that Sean Payton was like, oh, we were going to draft him. It's like, then, and you thought that he could be really great in your system. Like, why wouldn't you just give that little bit extra? Like I was listening to a podcast today and they brought up a really great point about how college football and so many lives would have been different had Drew Brees just been medically cleared to go to Miami and not New Orleans. And then Sean Payton's career might be a little bit different. And then think about all the guys that came through Alabama. Now, I still believe that the Julio Jones, just all of the talent that we've gotten out of there, right? The Calvin Ridleys, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henrys. I still think these guys would have found their way to get to the NFL and be great. But the actual the domination, the dynasty that he built in Alabama probably doesn't get built if Urban Meyer gets Drew Brees to be able to come to the Dolphins and not there. Like it's Nick
Saban.
Yeah, if Nick Saban gets him to go there. With Sean Payton, we're looking at a situation where it's like, yeah, if he gets the quarterback right, and that's why I think that the Broncos are going to be decent in a couple of years.